Today I want to talk about one of the most professional, budget-friendly video tripods I have ever used, and it's made by SIRUI. We're going to be talking about the SVS75, which is the tripod base, the legs, and the fluid head, which is the SVH15. Let's dive in. If you get the SIRUI combo, you can expect to pay around $799. Now, it's jam-packed with features. Not only do you get included gear that's actually useful, but it's also incredibly functional. You have a minimum working height of 8.1 inches and a maximum working height of 61 inches, which is bizarre. But you're also going to get smooth operation with fully NF blocking hydraulic dampening, with the full range of motion, 360 degrees of panning with -72 plus 90 degrees of tilting. Now, I really wanted something that was very sturdy. We had a recent shoot where the tripods we were using, although they're labeled as professional, turned out when you put them on a heavy camera like the camera that I have rigged out behind me right now, which is, by the way, the Canon C400, fully rigged out, you know, V-mount battery, transmitter, all that stuff, you really see just how important it is to have a stable, steady tripod. So I was looking for something under $1,000. Lower the better. And I quickly navigated to SIRUI. I've been hearing great things about their stuff for many years, and I know that this tripod, for example, is one of the heavy hitters in the professional world when you're looking for something a little bit more budget friendly. So the structure of today's video is going to be in the practical sense, right? Like I said, I own a production company, so it really matters that things are actually functional and stable in the real world for me. But of course, we'll talk about the specs, we'll talk about all the great features, because this tripod and the fluid head has a ton of great features. And really, I mean, the manufacturer thought things through. There's a lot of little details that they put in there that really come in handy when you're just rushing, right? And you have a deadline and a project to worry about. So we'll talk about all those great things. But I also want to compare it to a previous tripod that I reviewed, a SmallRig carbon fiber tripod that is also really great, right? The AD100. But I kind of want to show you guys the differences when you step up, right? When you're paying this much, what do you get with that extra money? And it's actually really big. So let's start off with talking about some of these great features. For the SVS75, it has a rapid deployment system. It's a little different than other rapid deployment system. For example, when you look at the SmallRig AD100, it has actual like levers that you unlock and then kind of jiggle it a little bit, everything falls down. It's actually going to have a one-step height adjustment twist lock system. And the twist lock system, at first I kind of was like, am I going to like this? Because I was so used to the lock lever style. But it's actually really nice because naturally your hands are already grabbing the tripod at those legs and you don't have to rotate too much. Like, you can rotate just like a natural rotation and it unlocks. The legs drop down and then that's it. You lock it back up. And then if you compare it to the knobs, the lock knobs, those are the worst in my opinion. I had a tripod that had lock knobs, and having to hold it and rotate and lock, I got rid of it real quick. Now the next big feature is the materials. So it is made out of carbon fiber, mostly, and then aluminum. So they reinforced the important things with aluminum, and I appreciate that. And then the carbon fiber, that you can tell they tried to use as much carbon fiber as possible to lighten the tripod. But you know, there's certain areas where it's like, I want that to be secure. They used aluminum, but it feels really rugged. Like, it's hard to describe. You know, when you pick something up and you're like, this feels good. This feels like there's a lot of money into it. That's how it feels like. The downsides to that is it's a heavy tripod. I think combined with the fluid head and the tripod legs, the base, I think it's under 20 pounds. I think it's somewhere like 17, 18 pounds, something like that. Definitely under 20 pounds total. But this is a thoughtful thing that the manufacturer included. They actually included a arm that you can screw onto the tripod, and it's actually in the perfect spot, keeps it completely balanced, and it makes it so much easier just to grab it and transport the tripod. So really appreciate that from the manufacturer. Now, a big thing for me that I will never go back on is having a mid-level spreader. It just keeps the tripod organized. It keeps it from folding in on itself. You know, when you're carrying something heavy, when you're trying to adjust, having a spreader just equals stability. The first time I ever got a spreader that I liked was the SmallRig, right? The AD100. But with the AD100, I think I talked about this in my original review, it feels very plasticky, feels like it's gonna break. It has these like little knobs and it slides in and out. Whereas with the SIRUI, it's actually tubes and it feels like it's dampened. It almost feels like you have struts, right, on there that's kind of also assisting the legs. So everything just feels smooth. The great thing about the mid-level spreader, I think the SmallRig does this too, but it was harder to take them off. With the SIRUI, it's so much easier to just take them off if you want to. So for whatever reason, if you don't need the spreaders, if you're gonna go really low and the spreaders are gonna get in the way, you literally unhook them. That's how easy it is, and you're good to go. So you do have fixed angles that you can run, of course, but you can also widen the tripod with two levers, these step levers, and you just adjust it, right? It's actually very familiar on my budget-friendly SmallRig, like really cheap tripod that I have for YouTube videos. If you haven't seen that video already, I'll put a link in the description of this video, but I basically like makeshift a everyday YouTube tripod. It has that feature, and I really like it because it's fast, right? It's on this professional tripod and you can get really, really low with it. Now let's talk about height. Now this is something that the SmallRig AD100 still has advantage over the SIRUI. So the SmallRig AD100, I forget exactly how high, I'll put it here on the screen, but it is significantly higher, goes significantly higher than the SIRUI. However, this tripod goes significantly lower, right? So there is a trade-off. I'll be honest with you guys, I've never had to go that high on my SmallRig. So I would rather have the ability nowadays to go lower than to go that high. Now let's talk about the fluid head. And this is where it's night and day difference, right? So I felt like the tripod legs were a huge improvement, but then when I used the fluid head, that's when I realized like, whoa. So it is a drag control fluid head, which is very impressive at this price point. Now it can balance different camera sizes and weights. I have the Canon C400 right now on, fully rigged. It's a heavy, heavy camera when it's fully rigged. And it's also very wide, right? So we went from a box style camera, now we added all these accessories, and now, you know, the center of gravity is completely different. I have zero issues putting the Canon on here. What I really like is in the back, you do have your counterbalance adjustment. So you can balance almost anything. And I tried this by putting on my DJI Ronin 4D, which is a completely different animal than the Canon C400. And it was able to balance it just fine. It's actually something that's very evident with the Ronin 4D because we get off tripods frequently to go handheld because of that fourth axis. And it's just very easy to go back and forth. Now, another thing that I really want to touch upon was, obviously for the fluid head, what's the max payload here, right? So I don't have anything that's super heavy, right? I'm not using like an RE or anything like that. Maximum payload or load capacity for the SVH15, which is the pan head, is 15 kilograms, right, of load capacity, which is roughly around 33 pounds. That is more than enough for me. So let's talk about the fully NF blocking hydraulic dampening. What is that exactly? Why is that important? So most fluid heads at this price point are designed with like hydraulic dampening, right? But their dampening gear structure won't necessarily adjust to different weights and different cameras, different camera structures. Basically what you have now is you have an extra control. You have an extra dial that you can use to fine-tune the adjustment to your specific camera. And if you're frequently switching cameras, it makes it even easier. What makes it so unique is it's 7 steps of balancing. So it almost covers all ranges, right? I mean, 7 steps is gonna give you plenty to really go from like a mirrorless camera all the way to a cinema camera. Now, I really like the side-loading quick release plate. It's way more secure than the SmallRig, hands down. SmallRig had this like weird thing where you had to kind of like, you know, you had to line up like perfectly to click into place. I hands down prefer the SIRUI's locking plate. It's just way more secure and it's a lot more intuitive. Now, you're still gonna get the same feature that everybody loves right now is, yes, it is compatible with the DJI gimbal series. So it's compatible with the RS3 Pro, the RS3, and the RSC2. And then it does have a safety pin to catch the camera if for whatever reason anything ever did happen. The last thing that I want to talk about is it does have a half bowl quick release handle.
So the bowl for me is non-negotiable. You have to have a bowl on a professional tripod. I want to have a bowl for those unique situations that we're going to be in an awkward position. So it is a 75mm half bowl. Now, the disadvantage to most half bowls is they're not very efficient, and then they will frequently become loose. What they did here was they definitely reinforced their half bowl, but it also has a quick release system, well, sort of quick release system. You can actually remove it in under 2 seconds. All you do is you just rotate it like 2 quick turns, and then you press the quick release button and it comes out. I've never had anything like that before. It's really cool. Here's my final thoughts. Here's where I think the clear differences are. I've never had a tripod that's quite as stable as this guy here. I truly mean that. It is rock solid, right? When you pan and you tilt with it, it's so fluid. It's so dynamic. There's so much dampening and so much that you can adjust. The results speak for themselves. This is my favorite tripod. This is what I take on professional shoots to make money. You just have to try it for yourself. I mean, once you pick it up, once you use it, once you actually tilt and pan and all those good things, you quickly realize what you're paying more for it. And then the crazy thing is you're not paying that much more, right? Like, you're getting so much more quality and stability, but you're not paying like double or triple as you would expect, if that makes any sense. I highly recommend it. If you guys are interested for yourself, I will put a link in the description below. That's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative. And if you did, please consider subscribing and joining our channel memberships. I'll catch you in the next video.